All right, so this video is going to show you how to operate both of these machines. They're very different from one another. One's a lot more automated than the next, so they've got different procedures. So remember when you come in here that you need to have proper lab attire on, closed-toed shoes, long pants, autoclave gloves preferably that go up to your elbow. And eye protection is an option, but it's recommended. You also want to bring in the material that you're autoclaving on a cart. Don't transport anything in or out of this room by carrying it. It increases the risk of you dropping something that's superheated and creating a huge mess and a possibility for injury. Anything that goes in either of these two machines also has to go into a tub. The tubs are provided in this room. They're kept on these shelves. It's okay for you to transport materials back and forth to your lab in the tubs. Just be sure that they come back in here so that they're available for other people to use them. Anything that is autoclaved in these tubs and ends up in the bottom, whether it be water, agar, media, anything of that nature, needs to be decanted into one of the large volume beakers that we keep on the bench before you rinse anything out. We don't want anything to be rinsed into the sink that has the possibility of solidifying. Okay, so just be mindful of that. That stuff will dry on the side bench and then we'll throw it away in the proper receptacle. All right, so for this machine, this has a cage that detaches from the chamber so you can load and unload your materials away from the heated chamber. It's a little bit safer. But remember, when this cage comes out of this chamber, it's hot as well. So it's a good rule to just use your autoclave gloves when you're loading or unloading, whether the stuff is hot or not. It just puts you in a safe space and a good practice. So you load your material up onto the cart, push the cart up and it locks in place. Right? You release the cage by lifting up on this trigger, sliding your cage all the way into the chamber, and then pushing on the black knob and pulling the chamber back again. So once we've got our material loaded into the chamber, we press the foot pedal at the bottom and it automatically closes the door. Once the door is closed, this touch screen has a list or variety of times based on the cycle. You can move through the screen to find the setting that you want, gravity or liquid, and the specific times that might be on them. So say I was going to run a liquid cycle here for 25 minutes. I would push on this screen. It's going to give me this again to verify that the door is closed. It's not going to let me start the screen or the cycle until the door is safely closed. I'm ready to go. This activates the cycle. We're going to hear the chamber pressurize. And this is an approximate time that it's going to take from when this cycle begins until it's safe to open the chamber again. It's not going to let you open the chamber until all the pressure's gone and it's cool. Okay. So once that cycle's done, I'll be able to come back in, reopen the chamber door, and reattach the cart, move the cage out, and remove our material. All right. Just remember that everything coming in and out of here has been heated well over 100 C. It can burn you in a flash. So just be very, very cautious, especially if you're pulling liquids out of the autoclave. If you agitate them in the first 5 or 10 minutes of them coming out of the chamber, they're superheated liquids and they could boil over and create a huge mess or a chance of you becoming or getting burned in the process. Okay. If at any time water, steam, anything is escaping this machine after you've activated the cycle from anywhere other than the drain in the floor, go ahead, hit this emergency stop button, leave the room and go find help, right? It's not a dire situation, but we need to be aware of this machine having issues, right? That'll allow me to get the issue taken care of and get it repaired. Just don't walk away from it. let somebody know. On the other hand, please don't use this just to stop the machine. It will cause this machine to recycle, and it's going to tie it up for an hour doing nothing. So only use this in case of emergency. The second machine is a bit older. It's a hatch style door. So when we're opening this door, we're pulling stuff in or out of this autoclave. It's a good idea to do it from this side. Don't have your back up against there so you bump into it, you burn yourself. Besides the door, the other main difference is the controls on this machine are manual. You set your sterilization time by moving these dials, and that corresponds with what we see on the screen. Same thing, if we want dry time, we just move the dials to what we want, and it should correspond with the cycle on the screen. We have 2 gauges on this machine. This is our jacket pressure. Jacket is where the stored pressurized steam is that's going to fill the chamber. It should always be above 25, 30 PSI and ready to go. You should never have to worry about this. This is the chamber pressure. Of course, the chamber is open, so it's not pressurized right now. But when you come back to open this, if the cycle's done, we want to be sure that the pressure is in that safe zone in the white right there. So once you select your cycle, I'm autoclaving some liquids. Right. They're in their glass containers. We don't want to fill any of the glass over 60–70% of its total capacity. You put much more than that in here, and you're going to lose some of that content. It's going to boil over and create a mess. You always want to have your stuff capped. If you don't have these fancy fluted caps, just some aluminum foil is fine too, and it's in a tub, right? In case anything boils over, it's coming out of a liquid cycle, so there's going to be moisture and condensation in the bottom of this too, so it just contains everything, so we don't have a mess in the bottom. So I'm ready to load this. Anything that goes in this machine just sets on the bottom, great. Don't try to thread any of these pans into these. It'll get stuck really tight, and it just makes it a real dangerous mess to try to get it out. So I've got my time set. All right, I've got good pressure in the jacket. My stuff's in glass. It's in good shape. I've got it covered. Now I want to close this door. Right. This door hinges in 2 places. One right here and one inside the door. So it'll allow you to move the door like that. It's important when we're closing this door that we can it all the way to the right, towards the hinges. So when we shut it, this gasket is making contact all the way around. Right? There's the gasket. You can see where it sits and seals. This door will allow you to close it without that gasket being sealed completely. And that just creates a mess once you start the cycle. You're going to have to abort it and start it over again. Right? So we make sure that it's canted all the way to the right. We shut it. There are cleats that come up all the way around. And I just turn it until I get good resistance, and then give it another half a turn. Okay. Once I've done that, I know I've got it sealed correctly. I'm autoclaving liquid. Press the liquid cycle. The chamber is getting pressurized. And it's going to, once it gets up to condition, it's going to start to count down the time. This doesn't tell you the total amount of time that you've got to run the cycle, like the other one, but they're pretty similar. It's 20 minutes of sterilization. The total cycle is probably going to be around 15 minutes to an hour. So the last thing you want to do before you leave here is fill out the log for either machine or bump on the wall closest to it. Just put the date, your time, and your name, and whose lab you're in. So in case there's an issue with the cycle, we can fix it and let you know what's going on. That's it.